welcome back to another edition of the NoStoppingKev Show. It's your Beeford duo, Big Kev and Lil Kev. How you doing? Oh my God, you alright?
I'm good.
Yeah, people gonna get mad when they listen and they hear you coughing. But everybody, he's safe, so that's a positive. But welcome back. This is week 6 of the show, and it's 4th of July weekend. So happy 4th of July to everyone out there. But yeah, we're back. Definitely, we appreciate all the support. And, you know, I think I want to give a special shout out to kick off the show because of what you just mentioned. Shout out to my boy Steve for putting together the official NoStoppingKev Show beat. So the song y'all hear when we kick off the show, that was created by one of my best friends and a guy that actually taught me a lot about how to play the game of basketball. So Steve, thank you. I'll actually drop the link down to some of his music below. But so I want to kick off today's show a little bit differently than in the past. And you don't have any idea what's about to come your way, so don't be too nervous. Just got a question for you because I'm curious. I might already know the answer. But what is the wildest thing that a coach has ever said or done to you?
The wildest thing a coach ever said or done to me?
You need me to go first to give you some time to think? Or?
Yeah, because I can't think of something like coach.
All right. All right, so to me personally, it was sophomore year high school. We had an exhibition game against Girard College. Now, they had, like, the super fast guard. Mind you, I was a sophomore starting on varsity. So I'd probably say experience-wise, like, got thrown into the fire pretty early in my high school career. But it was the first game of the season, so you know I had a lot of nerves going into that game. I remember being in warm-ups. First of all, the gym was huge. First time we was in a gym that big. It was super cold, and then I was also nervous. And I remember my feet were feeling numb, and I don't know if it was because I was cold, nervous, or my shoes were too tight. To this day, I still haven't figured it out. I go back and forth between the three of them. But came out the game, I felt like I was struggling a little bit shooting in the first quarter, right? Had some easy, like, wide open ones and just back of the rim short. And I think Coach started getting just upset at all of us, just as a unit. And I remember he called a timeout, and he was going off on some people in the timeout. I remember he just turned to me and was like, "Can you grow up here?" and like gestured. And like, mind you, I'm like 15 at the time. And he's like, "Can you grow up here?" And I just remember like, it was like everything slowed down. Like I was in the Matrix. Like I was in a parallel universe. Like I just felt like all eyes were on me. And that was like the first time I was really put on the spot and called out. But just seeing the gesture and like the eye contact, I was just like, I was looking for help. Like that's the game I needed you to be at, so I could look in the stands and be like, "Yo, did you see that?" But that's probably like one of the wildest things the coach has ever said to me. And that's not even that bad. You probably got some worse stuff.
You know what? I really can't remember that. When you was just talking about that, I remember when I was like playing JV in high school, and my coach told me, he said, "Every time you get to the top of the key, I want you to shoot. And if you don't shoot, I'm pulling you out the game." So, you know, I ain't making nothing. And like I'm feeling bad and the rest of the team looking at me and, you know, and I'm just saying, he's telling me to do this. You know, I don't want to sit down and I'm just telling the player. I mean, that was probably like the funniest thing. And then like another thing was like Coach Ritten in college. Like he used to get on players and stuff like that. And I remember my the assistant coach come, because at times, man, I would, you know, laugh and be laughing because, you know, because it was funny. It'd be funny. And the coach told me one time, he said, "You ain't going to think it's so funny when he get on you." And like, you know, like me, I don't believe he going to get on me because like that. But, you know, my time did come. You know, and it was something like, and I guess later in the show we'll go back and I'll talk something about that. But, you know, like it helped me grow though, you know, even when my turn did come, you know, like you, I guess we're gonna really talk about some coaching and stuff that today, you know, and what was good, man. I always believe I was lucky to have the coaches in my life that I had because it wasn't just always about basketball. It's about life, and through my coaches and them teaching us. And it just as we go through the show, and because we'll talk about this, but coming up, I remember when I was coming up at the Y, we had Kenneth Woods, let him rest in peace, that was taught us so much about basketball, and and we used to play in the leagues, and what was so good when we was little. We play in this league, and the older guys, some of them would coach us and like that. And then as we got older and better, we did it.
You had to get back.
Yeah. And see, what was good about him and coming up over the Y was, we got the referee, you got the coach, you got the play. So you learned the game from every aspect, as a player, as a coach, and as a referee. Mm-hmm. And I think that really helped. Then you got to use it, because when you played in the league up, you ref in the league below you, and you coached in the league below you. So it really helped.
Yeah, I think it's definitely beneficial when you see all those perspectives. So at camps, I got to coach a little bit in college, and then of course, once I started coaching in high school, but also in college, I got to ref some games in some younger youth leagues around the city. And even when I was reffing camps or just summer games in general, just kind of seeing what it's like to be in a ref's shoes and make split decision calls, and kind of knowing or being confident in what you're calling, you appreciate it. And now looking as a player, I know when. I have conversations with refs, and used to ref basketball, so I feel like I have a pretty good knowledge or understanding of how to officiate a game. So when a ref make a certain call, I kind of know what questions to ask. I'll pick his brain just to see if he know what he's calling, or just to kind of test him and see if he really knows what he's doing. He doesn't really know that that's what I'm doing, but if he give me an answer I don't like, I'm gonna let him know why I don't like it. I'll tell him how you're supposed to call that call, or at least how I think you're supposed to call that call. I'm not always right, but it is what it is. But I just want to go back to another funny coaching story, and it might not be funny to other people, but it's always funny to me and people that were there. So you said your coach used to go off. We had a day where we were playing Bach. Where you went to school playing Bach, and I feel like we were. I don't know if we got blown out, but it probably is one of those games where you were just trailing the whole game, not playing your best basketball. And I remember we came out of a timeout, and I don't even remember what happened after that, but I just knew Coach called another timeout the very next possession, right? And so we all like, yo, what's up? And so we walking back to the huddle, and we get in the huddle, and Coach literally is just there, and he's just arms crossed, and he's just making eye contact with people, basically going, not directly around the circle person to person, but kind of jumping around, just like. Then he looked at my man Cuba, right? He looked at Cuba. Cuba's our big man. He looked at him, and then just threw the clipboard and sucked his teeth, looked at somebody else, then looked back at Cuba. And I almost died because I'm like, what did he do to get to stare twice? Coach never said a single word that whole time out. He just sent us back out there, and I remember walking back on the court, and I looked at Steve, and you just had to laugh at something like that, it was definitely serious, but Coach did it for a reason, and to this day I still can't tell you what happened to make him call that timeout. I can just tell you he wasn't happy. But that's my other funny coach story. So shout out to Coach Richburg for the great experiences down at Mastery South. Definitely a guy I respected as a coach, though, just because when it came to teaching X's and O's, he was pretty good at that. And then he was one of the first coaches that really tried to teach accountability, at least that I interacted with, coming into high school. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really understand how important that was at that time. But as I got older, I saw the importance of it. And then I valued it that much more and appreciated what he did so early on. So, again, shout out to Coach Omar Richburg. But again, I just want to remind everybody watching out there, or if you're new, why we're here. There's just a lot of times in, especially our society, where you see cycles repeated. And, a lot of times people don't have information or have people to share experiences about things that they did that helped them out for the better, or things that kind of ended them up in a worse position. So that's why we're here. We just want to share our stories. I know I always say this, but it's definitely coming. But we're going to have guests on here to share their stories, because we just want to help people. We want people to see different perspectives, or maybe just have an outlet to, just get a new perspective on life, and kind of think about how they're living their day to day. So yeah, definitely keep supporting us, keep sharing our content, follow us on social media. Just telling a friend goes a long way with this. So we appreciate everybody who has supported us and continue to do so, and we appreciate the new people to come.
When you just talked about Bach, and and we talking about coaches, you got to meet my high school coach, didn't you?
I did. Who was your high school coach, Dad?
Ernie Beck.
Man, all right. So I'm gonna give y'all the backstory, because you probably won't give the backstory. So you used to say this when I was a kid too, but I just was like, all right. So my dad's coach was Ernie Beck, and I'm gonna say the great Ernie Beck. I went to Penn. When you go into the Palestra here in Philadelphia, the Palestra is lined along the walls with all the Big Five greats. One day I was in line at a game at one of the concession stands, and I look on the wall, and not only is there a picture of this man, but it's like a plaque with like his face engraved in his name. And I was like, Ernie Beck, why does that sound so familiar? Then I was like, I think I called you. I'm like, yo, Dad, like, yo, did your coach go to Penn? And you was like, yeah. And then you always said your coach played for the Philadelphia Warriors.
Right.
And I was like, wait, your coach played in the NBA? And then I still don't understand to this day why he was coaching your team in high school, because I'm going to be nice. Y'all weren't the winningest program, although you go out and get your 40 like Jordan.
No, we didn't win. We didn't really win because we was like a vocational school, and a lot of people didn't go there.
Yeah, but you had a great coach, though. So I'm going to tell you when it clicked that Ernie Beck was good for me, right? Sorry to cut you off, too.
No, go ahead.
One, when I met him, the first time I met him, at Penn one season, they were, like, each game or, like, every other game or something, they would highlight a Penn legend, basically. So somebody that played years and years ago would come up, and they said his name, and I was like, that's my guy. So I had to go introduce myself. I talked to him for a little bit. We called you.
Right.
So that was a great experience for me. But then after the Warriors won, I forget what championship, but one of the recent ones, it was either Steph's first, I think it might have been Steph's first one. So whatever year that was, they had Warrior legends from each of the classes that had won rings. One person would represent the banner. They would kind of stand near the banner and represent that team. And Ernie Beck was one of the guys representing the team, and I was like, oh, he legit. But yeah, so I mean, you definitely have probably, out of the two of us, you played for the most decorated coach, and I guess you got two of them too. You got two great coaches.
Well, you know what? Not only them, like all through the Sunny Hill League with Claude Gross and T. Shields.
Oh yeah, legends.
Who like really taught the game. Like I've been lucky in that aspect, but but we also, when we talk about coaches, it's just not about the court and what you do on the court. It's like what they give you off the court and what they tried to make sure that you did off the court too. Like when we talk about coaching and we talk about like that, like if you just think about your record and winning and not helping somebody, like if a kid going through some trouble, about being there for him off the court, not just being there for you to get a win and for you to get bragging, right? You want to help this person get through this. You want to help this person mature. And they were the kind of coaches I always had, and and I just want to just go back to Ernie Beck and just say something like, when I was in high school, I kind of was young. Ernie Beck paved my way for me to be better in college and in high school, because I didn't understand and really know, but he taught me how to break presses. You know how, like, cause when I was at box, you know, people want to double team me. People want to play boxing ones against me. They just want to stop me. But he taught me ways and showed me ways and taught me ways to how to beat them and how to beat that.
What's one of the ways he taught you how to beat the press? Especially for, I know that was something I used to struggle with, being an undersized guard. So I know there's some undersized guards out there probably listening, or some guys that probably know they struggle against the press. So it was at least one of his techniques he taught you.
But see, like, you know what? Your strength. My strength was, like, if I got somebody running at me, I can get them. So if I don't, like what he used to, like he sent me to half court. Right now, if I got the ball on the first inbound pass, that was the trap. They trapped right there.
So now
when they went to somebody else and the ball got to somebody else, then when they would pass the ball to me, I can go.
So you needed to catch the ball with if you catch a second pass, you got some space. Then you got the defenders. They're coming at you, so they're not in position set up. So that allow you to kind of attack gaps, make moves,
and you know, it made a lot of people go out of their presses. Their press was ineffective. You know, like that, and that was something that he taught me. So when I went to college and things, so I already knew what to do. I didn't need my coach to tell me because I already learned. You know, when he taught me about boxing ones, just relax. You know, just relax, and because like you make it harder. So like my game was really like I could push the ball, and that was me. So like a lot of times that's when I had to take my advantage and take my shot. So now and the thing is, you got to recognize your players and what your players' strength is, and now you can see, since I knew what to do, I can help somebody else to do that. You know, and coaching, you know, and playing basketball. And that's why, like, sometimes, like, you just got to know. Like I always say, you were the better basic point guard than me. You are, like...
Basic point guard?
Yeah, a better point guard than me.
Okay, floor general. General.
Coach on the floor.
Yeah,
too.
There you go. Put some respect on my name.
Whatever way you want to fit it, you know, but... It is. Well, look at you. You the grade. You the Penn graduate. So we know who got the brains.
Man, I don't know. That was just always. I didn't have the flash and pizzazz for my game. I was kind of textbook Kevin, but had to kind of use, you know, the mental side of the game to kind of, you know, be successful and getting the spots on the floor, making certain passes. Also, I'm gonna shout Steve out again, because when I got, you know, kind of playing with my age group, it was kind of easy, you know. But when I got to high school, and, you know, you get the opportunity as a JV guy to step out there with some of the varsity guys. They're a lot bigger and stronger. Like, think about it. You got a 14-year-old out there with a grown man, right? You got 17, 18 years old. My body, like, I didn't even fill out yet at all. And I remember, even against the zone, I just could not pass the ball. But Steve was such a gifted passer that he kind of even coached me being a teammate. You know, I'm like, yo, Steve, how do you pass the ball against the zone? And, you know, I guess an important side of that was I felt comfortable in going to someone, admitting, like, hey, I'm not strong in this area. And at the same time, I was self-aware. You know, that's another big thing in life, is just being self-aware of what you can and can't do. And he was like, he told me different techniques for faking a pass. He the one that got me into throwing no-look passes, especially against zones. So that was something that really helped me. And after, you know, one conversation at practice, one rough practice where, you know, I really felt like I was defeated, kind of like you said you felt last week about work. And then you came home and we had a conversation. He gave me different tips. I was like, all right, I'm put them into action. You know, I kind of went home and envisioned myself doing that. So the next time at practice, I was like faking, throwing it to the guy at the high post from the wing. So that was something that really helped me. But I really wanted to go back to what you were saying earlier about coaches teaching guys off the floor. Right. So me, you know, we're huge basketball guys. We can talk about basketball, whether it's NBA, college, coaches, players. We can talk about that for hours. So, you know, I say that to say you can say we're basketball addicts in a sense, right? Although you might be a little less now.
No, I'm not going to be less, because like I'm saying, that was my life. Yeah. And, you know, like my college coach, you know, that's the way he taught class through basketball. I mean, he actually taught class. I mean, people that had no clue about basketball had to listen to him teach, because that's the way he. I mean, but it was easy for me to relate because I understood basketball. But like somebody that don't really play basketball, I don't know how it really was for them. But he could make it so simple. It was simple for me, but students had no problem passing this class. You know, smart students, they had no problem passing it. You know, it's just something because. But you know what? Think about how many people watch basketball. You know, so a lot of people know basketball. I know basketball or watch basketball or hear of it. I mean, you know, I believe you got more people that know about basketball than don't know about basketball. So, you know, like relating, we gonna come across people that play basketball like a lot in our life because that's what we're around. That's what we're about. So we gonna definitely come around them. So we can use that and talk about it. You know.
Yeah, and you know, you were saying earlier about coaches kind of teaching guys off the floor. That's a huge reason why I coach, right? So, yeah, I love the game of basketball. I always love playing. Now that, you know, I'm a little older, got other responsibilities, I can't play as much. So I coach because it's another way to kind of get my basketball fix, you know. But also, I'm passionate about mentoring. And I had a player this past season say something to me because our team they're kind of messing up. They needed a little bit of discipline early in the season so that we could all get focused. And I think we might have won a couple games. But, you know, he said something to me to the effect of, you know, like, nothing wrong when we out there winning them games. And I told him I can care less if we win or lose. Like, I'm not here, like, yeah, winning is great. That's the goal when we go out there. But I don't care about us. If we lose every game this season, that's not what's important to me. If we walk away this season 0-22, but I see some guys grow personally, they improve in school, they improve off the court and just how they carry themselves in their relationships with other people. If, you know, they're more focused, more goal-oriented, then that's a win for me. That's all the wins I need. Just seeing guys grow off the court is more important to me than what they can do on the court. Like, yes, I'm there. I got a job to help you if you want to play in college. My job is to help you develop into that player. But what's going to be more beneficial to your life is what you can do in addition to basketball. Because we know the traditional stories. Guys get hurt. Schools don't come knocking. Right. Like, basketball can be gone in a flash. You know, there's only so many spots. So it's like, what can you do outside of that? Are you going to take up a trade? Are you going to go to college? Like, what are you going to do? So the more I see guys grow and develop, the happier I feel. And one in particular, you know, I talked about him on an earlier show. You know, he was a guy who could always get distracted, kind of fall in the traps of nonsense. And just seeing him grow from, you know, over when did he start playing? He'll be a senior. So if I got 3 seasons under my belt already. So yeah, when he came in, he was young. So each year first 2 years he kind of flatlined, but last year I really saw growth in him to the point where he became a starter. He really was a leader. He went from the guy who I wouldn't let sit next to me on the bench because his attitude was so bad and I couldn't deal with it in the middle of games that I had to basically hide him out of sight, to he's the guy I want right here, because I know if the bench energy lacking a little bit, I can just say bench and he gonna get it rocking again. Or even if he did all the way down at the other end of the bench, he's so engaged now that he knows exactly what I don't even have to say things. So that's a win for me. I can care less about what happens on the floor.
Yeah. You know, like my coach Ritten, he used to say, I'm not here to prepare y'all to make the NBA. I'm here to prepare you for life, to deal with life, the pressures of life. Mm-hmm. And that's what he used to try to put so much pressure on us as the basketball player, because he said it's going to be pressure in life. Mm-hmm. And like I'm saying, that's why I said my coaches were so good coaches, because it wasn't all about basketball. I'm going to go out and play basketball, but it was them teaching me. See, you know, they were big teachers in me, teaching me how to be a father to you. because like sometimes people are gonna always teach you, oh, you the coach's son and all like that. So and real, like we are at times, because these people really does teach us some things.
They do.
Like you know what? And somebody gonna say some people that you coach, some of them gonna say, "Oh, that's your dad." That's your dad. They used to all teach us and say, Peanut was our father. We Peanut sons over the Y, because Peanut would teach us. I mean, Peanut would open up the Y, come at the Y on Sundays and let us come in the gym and play. He used to play us one-on-one and teach us different things, show us things. Bobby Lewis, guys that was real tight with Earl Monroe, they taught us, man. Taught us. Like and all the time, it ain't just about the coach. It's just the people that teaching us. See, like the date, and that's what giving back and trying to do. Like I got somebody that I might try to help now, and I got a young boy like he gonna make me lace up and come back at him, because just to try to teach him, just to try to guide somebody in the right direction, not to allow him to go on the street and be in the wrong thing, because it's like it's easy to go that way for us. But there's somebody that want to do something and play basketball or something like that. But it beyond playing basketball is about really trying to steer him in the right direction in life, whether he make it in basketball or not. Like I was with you, like you coming up. I mean, I'm going to support you and watch you play basketball. But my focus wasn't to make you a basketball player. It wasn't focus to make you go to the NBA. To me, you did what I wanted you to do or was hoping for you to do. We can always say the money and all like that in the life, man. But you know what? You have a pretty good life. Your sister want the life that she want to follow in the footsteps and have the life that you had. But she may have it better if she work hard.
I want her to.
But she focused and staying like that. And she do all the right things. And with us and with you doing like that. No, you ain't making $100 million or something like that, but you know what? You happy.
Yeah, $100 million would be nice though.
Yeah.
And I even be the 12th man on NBA roster. But no, I'm blessed in the state I am in now. And I used to always tease my mom about not letting me play AAU as a kid and stuff. I'd be like, Mom, that could be me on TV, but I'm stuck up here in Wharton. And at first, my joke go over her head.
Yeah.
But then she come back down and be like, oh, that's kind of funny, because it's not a bad spot to be in. But definitely, shout out to y'all for great coaching as parents. Y'all coach me off the court as well, just to kind of put me in different positions.
Right. And that's what this is about. And I'm saying, we using basketball right now, but we also talking about how it affects some other people. And it's just I remember when I used to, when you first started playing with a Y, and then I got to I remember the first time when I didn't want to say nothing. I just was coming to watch you play. But then after a while, here I am when they running practices, trying to teach y'all.
I remember you used to walk up and down the sideline too.
Yeah. That's because I couldn't
coaching
help
me.
Yeah.
Down the floor.
Yeah. I used to do that. But I'm saying that. But then when y'all had the practice days, y'all had days
when
y'all
all teams in there.
all the teams there, and all the players would come. And then I got involved in that. It's all about giving back or trying to help somebody. And in the both ways, like I said, we're gonna come across people, and people can relate to us more because of basketball. And we're going to, be able to talk basketball. Because like I said, everybody talk basketball. Everybody talking about LeBron and, when they were just talking about who the GOAT, and stuff like that. You got everybody talk about that. So it's a conversation for everything. And and just a way in just to help somebody. And like a lot of times I say help somebody. This helps me.
What made you really want to start coaching, when I was in the YMCA league? Because it was something that you just seemed to be a natural at. Even when kids were struggling, you found a way to help instill confidence in them. I don't know if it was by you saying you believed in them. I don't know what it was, but I would always see kids would kind of leave interactions with you, and you could tell they felt better about themselves, which is something that I don't know, you got the sauce, man.
It's something like I always wanted to do, and like always, like I'm saying, it's something that Kenneth Woods put in me when we was young and we was coming up in the league. Like when we got older, we helped the younger guy. Just like it was older guys that helped us
What
and
was
helped
your major
me.
in college?
Huh?
What were you studying in college?
Phys ed
And what
and
else?
social work.
Why?
Because that's what I wanted to do. That's where I always think. But I was caught up with the streets part of. So, that took the time, and I didn't have the time, or I didn't take the time to really pursue that because I was caught up.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me, because I felt like back when I was in elementary school, I had to ask you like those questions for a project, like what did you study in college and all that. And, when you're super young, don't really understand what college is, that goes right over your head. But then when we were talking, when we got together to kind of like film stuff for the trailer, he was like, yeah, in college, that's why I was studying physical ed and social work, because just about everybody got to take gym. So you knew you would get to interact with a lot of kids.
And if you ever know, everybody liked the gym teachers. Everybody. And I mean, like I'm saying, gym teachers was loved because, they, like you said, they got to help. When they can help people. Mm-hmm. Like gym teachers were like, the teacher that you're going to run to for help, or the teachers that most likely be there to really, really help you and stare to trouble people, mm-hmm. is the gym teacher. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, like in junior high and high school, like the athletic, the physical education coaches, and then they are coaches. Mm-hmm. But they usually coaches, they deal with really everybody. They deal with all the trouble, the bad people. They the ones that talk to them. They try to guide you.
I think they're not in your typical classroom environment with tables, chairs, and a board. Right. They're in a different environment, which I think helps kids. They're in a place where usually you can have some fun. You can let off some steam and stress. And I think that might be something that really allows them to be able to get through to people. Like one person, when you talk about gym teachers, is Ms. Garner from Mastery, and she's executive director of Inspiring Minds, as I've shared before, and she really started the program that grew into while we were in high school. But even looking at her interaction with kids, so you had the bad kids that would try every other teacher. Everybody was kind of afraid of Ms. Garner somewhat, right? And it was it's not because she was a mean person. You just knew she was going to hold you accountable, which at times that's all people really, like us as kids, we need, because you're teaching us. We might not always like it, but we'll be like, we can respect you. And I remember I was having a conversation with one of my buddies from work, and he was talking about how sometimes like at teachers you kind of want to be like, I guess some teachers feel like they want to be friends or connect with students, but I think they don't always understand how. And you look at I just think back to the teachers that I had in school, right? You had teachers that kids would try to get over on, and the teachers would not have success in kind of controlling classroom environments at times. Then you would look at the teachers that would have control, and and students might rebel at times, but at the end of the day, they'll be like, I respect him. And the common denominator that I found when I would think about the differences, I was like, that teacher always held students accountable. Like, if you did something out of line, he or she was going to let you know about it. And that's something Ms. Garner always does. And she's funny because she has a way to hit you with little sarcastic jabs here and there to make you laugh and really think about yourself. But, she helps so many students there, and that's why, she definitely left her mark, or has left her mark on Mastery for forever. And, she was a gym teacher, athletic director, came in contact with so many kids, and she's definitely, if you had a Mastery Mount Rushmore, her face would be on there. Yeah. What do you think are some, we probably already hit the biggest one, but I was going to ask, what do you think are some good characteristics of coaches? But I think one that we already hit on is, definitely that desire to teach them off the court or off the field, whatever the sport may be, And that's something that I really want a lot of coaches to think about. So if you're listening to this podcast, send this to your coach or just share this with your coach, and especially if he or she doesn't express, their ideas of what they want you to do outside of your sport, because it's important. You're not just an athlete, but you're a human. You're a student. You have a future, and your future might not always have to do with your sport. So definitely tell them, like, hey, coach, I think maybe you should look at, how you can help us outside of this game. So I think that's a big one.
And you know what? And another thing I think, like, Tom, you got to recognize, you got to be able to see and how you can relate to this guy to get the best out of him.
Yeah, that's big.
See, because, like, he could be good in one area, or good in that one area, but, like, you want to try to make him better, and you got to be able to go really get into his head sometimes. You got to be like, you want to get into his head, to motivate. Like say motivate him to keep him excited about what he's doing.
Yeah, find out what makes him tick.
Yeah, like a coach, like it's big for a coach to give a pep talk sometimes to get people riled up before the game. To get them psyched in the game, to want to go out here and be hungry and play. Like sometimes, like, and we gotta recognize or know the things to say, or what we gotta say to motivate us to get you ready to get out there. And like sometimes, like, we need that in life off the court, because, like, we can still get complacent, we can still get like that. So sometimes we need that. We need that little pep talk, or we need that. And you gotta recognize what we got to say today, or what I gotta do today to get him motivated. And, like, like, just like us being fathers or something like that. Like, some days we gotta say something when you might not feel like going to school or something like that, and we gotta recognize that. We gotta see that. And you know what? And we got it, and that's just like a coach, before the game.
You gave that example of, like, when you don't feel like going to school. That reminded me of a quote that used to always stay in the back of my mind. It might be a Jason Kidd one. I gotta check. But basically, it said, like, days where, like, you don't feel like working out, or no one else feels like working out. That's the days that matters the most, or it's the most beneficial to you. Because, one, you got working when you really didn't want to, so it could have been a day where you did absolutely nothing, but you got better. But, two, just think about how much more accomplished you feel, knowing, like, hey, I won the mental battle today. I invested in myself today. Then you talk about something else important that you kind of touched on was, kind of getting in a guy's head, or a athlete's head as a coach, because I think it's human nature to kind of want things your way, right? But something that I had to learn as a coach is it's not always going to be my way. It's not always, a kid's not always going to respond to what I'm trying to do the way I might envision it. I might come at them a certain way, but that might not be the way I can communicate with that kid. Just like some players can take a coach yelling at them, that make them get motivated and stay focused. Other guys might shut down, automatically get defensive. So you got to understand communication styles. You got to understand how to work with different types of people and balance that, and especially when it's a team sport and you got 12, 15. In football, you can have 50. At some levels, 100 people on the roster. You got to figure out, how do I connect with each one effectively?
It's funny when you said that, because like you saying, and I go back to when I was saying about my coach in college. Like, when I used to laugh when he got on other people, and you touched on it too when you said about rebelling. When he got on me, I went through a slump. I mean, I really went through a slump, and like where I was messing up, because, like, he got on me, but I rebelled. And I mean, it was so bad where I was so bad. Like, I think I remember I would probably, like, four for I don't know, for 48 or something like that over a few games span. I remember going to throw a behind the back pass and threw the pass straight back. I mean, like, and, like, my coach was on me, but I remember I said, you know what? I can't beat him, so I'm going to join him. And that's what I said to myself. And I remember
you Kevin Durant did it out here.
And I remember, and the funny thing was, we had this big game, a robbery game, gym jam packed, and I said I'm gonna do this, and like you know what, I wound up having a great game, and all I remember him at the game said, I knew you was gonna make it. And see, like a lot of times, like when I go back to Ernie Beck, I go back to him, I didn't understand a lot. Like Claude Gross, like you know what? One year, I start in the Sunny Hill League in my junior year. The next year, he want to bring me off the bench. I don't understand that. You know what? How are you going to start me when we got All-Americans, high school All-Americans on the team, and next year we don't, and I got to come off the bench? I didn't understand some of the things that they was trying to teach me. And you know what? And I was close to a lot of things.
So why did he?
Huh?
Why did he want you to come?
Because like after years after that, he used to say, we run on, he said the team would be here. But he said soon he put me in the game, the team go here.
So you would take me
like I would bring him. So that's why he used me to come off the bench. Like, you know, like, and it was what to come. But, you know, like at that time, you know, I didn't want to come off no bench.
Starting was everything. You know, it's like a status thing.
Well, you know what? I mean, like, but I didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of things I didn't understand. It's like some things I thought I knew and I know. It's just like in life right now. Like a lot of things that I thought I knew, I really didn't know. Now I'm just learning. So like I always go back. My incarceration helped me so much. And it helped me see things so much because it also gave me time to sit down and really see things and look at things that I never looked at before in the way that I had time to look at it or time to see it. You know, so that's the good thing about it. And like, you know, as far as me learning now, I mean, I always could help people. But like now, I just got a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And I got the time now where I can listen to people and understand it. But I also look back on all the things that I was taught then. Mm-hmm. And now I can see it through another level. Like, you know, I might have been seeing things from here. Now I can look down and really see things. You know, like, and that's much more better now.
You know, that story is basically something that repeats, right? That story in itself is a cycle. When you talk about a coach kind of being hard on a player with a purpose, you know, a right purpose.
Right.
And a lot of times as a player, you get all types of things in your mind. Like, coach hates me. I'm gonna, like, you're afraid of failing, you know, losing your spot, whatever it may be. And, you know, you talk about, you know, at Sunny Hill when they brought you off the bench, right? So, remember last fall in our preseason league, I was, you know, the head coach for that. And, you know, I had a player tell me, you know, he was like, I already know who you gonna play. I already know who you want to start. Like, you want to start him. And I was like, no. Like, I really want to start you. But if I start you, there's going to be nobody to come off the bench that I can rely on to carry a second unit with no one else out there or maybe one other starter. That's the only reason you're not starting. I was like, I want to start you, but when I think about what's the advantage to who's coming off the bench, like what do I have past that first five? I'm like, I don't have a lot to work with. So you coming off the bench, I'm making you come off the bench because you're more valuable in this instance. And then once we had that conversation, I noticed he was more motivated. Like, he started going hard in practice again. And his whole just kind of demeanor and, like, energy, he was just more focused, you know. And so something that I found as a coach, you know, going back to connecting with players, is a lot of times, you know, you're seeing one thing and they're seeing something completely different. Or, you know, you're thinking one thing, they're thinking your perceptions are polar opposites. But it's once you have those conversations, and as a coach, you got to be willing to have those conversations because it's not always easy. Like, I've grown a lot as a coach just because, one, I'm not the most patient person, but coaching has taught me patience to be, you know, more able to kind of work with different people. But it also kind of taught me how to communicate effectively and really, you know, have tough conversations with guys that are uncomfortable for the both of us. But, in the end, it helps us both be successful in the long run, just how we see things. And, you're talking about a coach-player relationship, sooner we get on the same page, the sooner I can get on the same page with my team, the more successful we can be. And now we're buying into systems. Now I even trust them to give input more, right? Like I can have guys pull me and say, Coach, why didn't we do this? And I can say, well, and a lot of times they're new to kind of playing organized ball, so it's a teaching moment for me as well, which is what I love to do. And what guys say that they appreciate the most about me is teaching the game. And so, just kind of doing that and putting myself in positions to have those talks, I think it really helped our program to take steps and get better.
But see, something just like you and your coach, is real good friends, right?
Yep, me and Coach Dev.
So
he's like an older brother to me. Same thing with Coach Antoine.
But that's just what I'm saying. When you're a player, you got to be around the coach. The coach wants you around him. My coach is I used to have to try to duck my coaches because, if they see me, they going to grab me and have me with. But I didn't mind because, you know what? They're going to always be teaching you. Mm-hmm. Every step of the way, they teaching you on the court and when you off the court. I remember, my college coach, you know what? He used to, some kind of way, if he see me, he going to take me with him. He going to make me go with him. Now, he also teaching me, and I'm also now learning about, in life. Sometimes, I remember my assistant coach, I lived with him. When I came back, I kind of lived with them at time. So, they teach me. Sitting around McGonigal Hall with T. Shields and them, they're going to teach you. They're going to show you. And that's the same thing that you do. It's just going to be in you. It's just going to be in you to teach somebody, to help somebody. You grab some of your players now, y'all friends, so you know what y'all want to talk. Mm-hmm. Y'all want to talk basketball, y'all want to talk whatever. And life, y'all going to help. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, I think, continuing on with that, and, we got to get ready to wrap this thing up. But, what are some of the things you think people, kids or just our society needs, areas they need to be coached in off the court today? For me, one is accountability, because one thing that I find coaching is a lot of guys come into the gym. You can try to, hold them accountable for something as simple as we were running 17s or suicides and you didn't touch the line. You tell a guy something simple like your hand didn't touch that line, and you're getting every excuse under the sun. Or, they just want to get defensive. They don't want to say, you know what, I messed up. Because what happens is they go outside of the gym, whether it's in class, later on a job. In today's society, especially, being a person of color, you don't know who's going to come challenge you in any given day, right? So you got to be mindful of how you carry yourself. And so I can have a conversation with a guy, and he starts immediately breaking down or getting emotional. And when you make emotional, when you make decisions off of emotion, they're not always the best logical thing to do, right? So I even try to, when I have a guy having a meltdown on the floor, it's what you gonna do when you're at work and your boss comes, tells you weren't doing something right, but you were only doing something that another manager told you to do? How are you gonna handle that? Are you gonna explode like this? Because that's gonna get you fired. And so that's something that, I think that, I always try to coach people in that I come into contact with.
I know you always talk accountability. My thing is responsibility. Accepting the responsibility. And the only reason I say that, and responsibility is so much more and means so much more to me, because here I go back, and I always go back to my incarceration. You know what? I don't like to say so much about it, but I wasn't really caught doing anything. And I really went to jail on hearsay. But I say that, but I was guilty of doing something. And when I learned to accept the responsibility for what I did do, it was like a big weight was lifted off of me. So I understand about taking responsibility and accepting responsibility. You know, not blaming somebody else for me being there, because it was my action and some of the things that I did that put me there. So like now I learned, like, you know what, like, all right, let's go back to when I was at work and you and Bree broke the fingernail. And y'all, and they took the responsibility. Y'all took it, called me, let me know.
When we broke the picture frame.
Yeah,
when I broke the picture frame, but told Bree to take the fall.
Yeah,
for
but
it.
regardless, you know, it was easier taking it and had to hear less about accepting it. So, but see, like, I mean, I still didn't see it like that way, and I still didn't. And like, you know, it's a part of not making excuses. And like you said, being accountable, being responsible, they big things.
That's the other thing, not making excuses.
Yeah.
Like, I see, that's another thing that I experience a lot in coaching. And I have to tell guys, like, I even have to tell my best player, like, stop making excuses. I don't want to hear, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't set the screen right because, like, no, go hit a body. Same thing in life. Don't say, oh, I couldn't get this assignment done because, like, think about all the things you did that took away time from later on as to why you couldn't get your assignment done. Like, let's really self-assess here and figure out what can we honestly do in our day-to-day to prevent us from making excuses. And, like, I know I had to do it. Like I told you, I had a period of time where I was just struggling. I had goals and I was just struggling executing on things. And I was like, I could easily make excuses as to, oh, well, you know, I sacrificed a lot of my time to help someone in this area do this for this period of time. And then it's like, okay, so what? You sacrificed it. That's just an excuse as to why you didn't execute on what you were trying to do. Like, maybe you sacrificed that. What were you really sacrificing? You not doing it so that you helped them? Or were you maybe you're really sacrificing sleep? Or maybe you sacrificing time that you spent on your phone, you know? So it's like when you really start getting, you know, deep into it and really thinking about, like, what am I really doing here? You be like, oh, it's not that hard. Like, it's really not that hard.
It goes back to the thing you said, holding yourself accountable.
Yeah, it could change the world.
Yeah,
it could change the world. But
it makes a difference.
And going back to, you know, something last week, let's be coachable. Like, let's not always take something as a personal attack on ourselves. Like, oh, I'm being criticized. Like, this can't be right. If somebody's coming to you, it's because they see something. Now you got to ask yourself, why don't I see that about me? You know, now it's time for me to go look in that mirror and say, is this how I really am? You know, and sometimes it's hard. Like, you might not always realize it or, you know, believe it when you hear it from one person, two people. But just remind yourself, like, you know what, if they're saying this, there's a reason. Like, they're not just labeling me based on nothing at all, right? They're labeling you off of something you did. Like, when someone tells you you hurt their feelings just didn't get hurt. It was something you did that hurt their feelings. And you can try to justify whatever, but at the end of the day, you still hurt that person's feelings, right?
Right. I mean, you know what? Like, when you say that in some kind of ways, people say the truth hurts.
Yeah, it does.
So you may come to me and say something to me that hurt me, but you tell me something the truth, and you my son.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't gonna like it because you tell me something true. And it's like you said, I gotta look at what you say to me. Because see, one thing I know, that you're not gonna say something to me to hurt me. Mm-hmm. You're only gonna say something to help me. And even you being my son and Brianna being my daughter, whoever come to me and come to me real. I got, like, sometimes I might get into with a friend of mine that telling me something right that I don't want to see it that way, but I need to see it that way. So I try to be open. You know, like, recovery taught me something, and it's something that, like, when I got clean, it was something that really helped me stay clean, and it helped me stay clean now. And it's the word how. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And I may not be them things all the time, but I try to. And I'm trying to get better. And, you know, like, you know, like I hate to say some days we fall short, but ain't nobody perfect.
Right.
So we all fall short. But I try to live by them things, and them things help keep me clean for 12 years. But it also helped me become a better person. Right? Like, cause I'm not always like that, and I'm not always open, and I'm not always willing to do the things to be right. I'm just not.
But long as you try.
I'm trying.
Long as you try. Be coachable. Understand that sometimes the truth hurts, but understand that when someone's coming to you, just think of it as coming from a place of love because they care about you. They want you to be better. Like when someone's telling you something like that, they want you to be better and they want you to grow, right? Yeah. Which is why we're here sharing this, because we want all of you out there to get something and grow. And even if our message isn't for you, it might be for someone else. So definitely share it. And if you think it's something that resonates with them, let them know. But yeah, so we gotta get out of here. Again, be coachable
and teachable.
Whatever
makes it simple.
Yeah, and again, it's not always going to be easy, but like the other old saying goes, sometimes it gets worse before it gets better.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're out of here. Peace. Love y'all.
Yes, see y'all next week.